How'd they do that? How did they make that test? In this video, we will learn how to create a test, add questions with various item types, and edit the test options. To create a test, go to a content area of your course, click the Assessments drop-down menu, and choose Test. If you have already created a test, it will be listed here. If not, click the Create button to continue. Enter a name for this test and click Submit. This is the test canvas where you will add your questions. To create a new question, click on the Create Question drop-down and choose a test item type. The test in the short course uses all 17 question item types, but in this video we will look at just 3. Let's start simple with a true or false question. You can skip the question title and just enter the text. The test questions use the Blackboard content editor, so you have the option to format your content or even add multimedia. Here, let's use a simple question. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Select whether you want the answers to appear vertically or on top of one another, or horizontally side by side. Choose whether this question is true or false. If you would like to provide feedback for your students, do so here. This can be very helpful when creating practice tests so that students can learn why their answers are correct or incorrect. Scroll down and click Submit. Here you can see our first question, which has been automatically numbered, showing the question text followed by all of the possible answers, with the correct one identified by the green check. Let's add another question. Click the Create Question drop-down and select Multiple Choice. Enter the question text. Which of the following is a New England state? Scroll down to the options and choose a numbering type or leave the answers unnumbered. Again, you have the option to display the answers vertically or horizontally. You also have the option to provide partial credit and to show the answers in a random order. This is one strategy to deter cheating. Next, select the number of possible answers. Enter one answer in each box. Again, notice these are Blackboard content editors, so you have the ability to format text and embed multimedia. When you have finished entering the answers, mark the one that is correct. Enter feedback if desired and click Submit. Now we have 2 questions on our canvas, showing the question type, the question, and the possible answers. Let's create one more question. Click the Create Question drop-down and select Matching. On the next screen, enter the question text. Match the fruit with the appropriate color. Choose whether to allow partial credit, negative scores, and any numbering. Next, select the number of questions. I will choose 6, and then update the partial credit percentages. Enter the question and answer pairs. If I want to reuse an answer, in this case yellow, I will check the box here and select the appropriate question-answer pair. Now I will continue to enter the remaining questions and answer pairs, reusing answers when necessary. You can randomly or manually order the answer choices. Finally, scroll down and click Submit. On the next screen, I'll scroll down and you can see the third question added. I'm finished with my test, so I will click OK at the bottom of the screen. Now I'm back at the Create Test screen where I choose the test I just created and click Submit. Now let's look at the test availability options. I'll need to make the test available so students have access to it, and I have the option of automatically creating an announcement with a link to the test. If I want to allow multiple attempts, such as for a practice test, I will do that here. Another method to deter cheating is to force completion so that once the student opens the test, they are forced to complete it and will not be allowed to open it again. You can also choose to set a timer with the option of automatically submitting the test at the end of the time period. If I plan to have my test proctored, I will set a password here that the proctor can enter to unlock the test. If I have a student with a disability accommodation, such as extended time on tests, I will create that exception here by clicking Add User and altering the settings for that student. Next, set a due date for the test, and if desired, do not permit students to access the test after the due date. The self-assessment options can be used if you plan to create a practice test for students. If this is a practice test that will not be included in the grade, uncheck the box that says Include this test in Grade Center score calculation. If you want the scores to be completely anonymous, you can hide the scores from yourself and the Grade Center entirely. Next, you will want to decide what the student sees upon completion of the test. By default, the student will see the questions with their score per question after submitting the test. If this is a practice test, you may want the students to also see feedback you entered. The last section on test presentation can also help to deter cheating. You can choose to present all of the test questions at once, which means that all of the questions will be visible on one scrollable page throughout the entire duration of the test, or display the questions one at a time. In this case, you can also prevent the student from going back to change their answers on a previous question. Finally, you have the option to randomize the order of questions for the test. When you are done with these options, click Submit. Now you see the completed test in the Content area. If you need to make changes to the questions, click the drop-down menu and select Edit the Test. If you need to make changes to the settings, choose Edit the Test options. To preview the test, click on the title to open the test and click Begin. And now you know how they do that.